Hey everyone, my name is Jaspreet. I'm a product manager here at Tenjin. I've been in the ad tech industry for about 6 years now. I started my career as a data scientist, machine learning engineer, building a lot of data pipelines, machine learning pipelines to optimize campaigns for advertisers. And I think I'm on the other side of advertising now, working for a mobile measurement partner, attributing, collecting, and organizing data from various partners.
Hey everybody, my name is Nafu. I'm a software developer here at Tenjin. I've been in the ad tech industry for quite a few years now, and I've worked as a full stack developer for about 7 or 8 years. And yeah, I build a lot of the dashboards and work on some of the integrations here. So Jazz, what surprised you the most in this SKAdNetwork update?
Honestly, a big update like this one was released on time and without a beta for testing. I think that was my biggest surprise. Typically, Apple has always added something valuable in each update, like fidelity type in SKAN 2.2. Ad networks getting a copy of non-winning postbacks in SKAN 3.0, which was the did win parameter. And finally, in iOS 15, developers were able to get a copy of the winning postbacks. But none of these previous updates came with a lot of new features. So it was surprising to learn that A, SKAN 4.0 has lots of new big features, and B, that Apple released SKAN 4.0 with iOS 16.1 on time and without a beta for testing.
If I'm an advertiser, what should I do now? What should I be paying attention to?
I think it might be a little too early for advertisers to start paying attention to SKAdNetwork 4.0. Advertisers can continue focusing on SKAdNetwork 3.0 or SKAN, let's call it SKAN, for the time being when MMPs and ad networks build SKAN 4.0 out. But when the industry starts adopting SKAN 4.0 features, I think as an advertiser, I would be excited about getting additional information about my installs, but apprehensive at the same time. Apprehensive because the industry was just catching up with SKAN 3.0 and how to use it to optimize campaigns. But now we'd have to learn new things to be able to optimize campaigns with SKAN 4.0 data.
So can you give an overview of what has changed?
There are lots of new features in SKAN 4.0, and the main goal of this update is to send advertisers and ad networks more information about their installs while preserving privacy. Now, let's look at these images about the overview of SKAN 4.0 and the crowd anonymity tiers. Let me first explain what the crowd anonymity tiers are, and then we can dive into the SKAN 4.0 features after that. So Apple has defined 4 different tiers under crowd anonymity, tier 0 to tier 3. And the concept is that an app is considered to be in tier 0 when it has like a few number of installs, which is the lowest number of installs. And an app is considered to be in tier 3 if it has a lot of installs. So this is how Apple defines these tiers. So tier 0, few installs, tier 1, more installs, tier 2 would have more installs in tier 1, and tier 3 would have the highest number of installs. And based on what tier an app falls under, Apple would send different kinds of data.
So why don't we start with the conversion values that you get back?
So we have 2 conversion values now, fine-grained conversion value and coarse-grained conversion value. Fine-grained conversion value is the same as before, the 64-bit conversion value, and they remain unchanged when it comes to the crowd anonymity concept, and the random delay that is used to send that conversion value is also the same, which is 24 to 48 hours. We can now decrease the conversion value, whereas before we were only able to increase it. And the 24-hour timer is gone, where advertisers get 24 hours to update the CV.
So in that way, Apple is trying to make this flow a lot more simplified.
That's true. Now let's talk about coarse-grained CVs. Advertisers can get this new CV with the possible values of low, medium, and high. Let's look at the SKAN 4.0 image and let's talk about the coarse-grained CV and the fine-grained CV and when do we receive it, at what tiers do we receive it. So if you look at that image, we can receive a coarse-grained CV when we are in tier 1 and we can receive a fine-grained CV when the app is in tiers 2 or 3. So before this, we were not able to receive any conversion value in tier 1. So this is the new addition by Apple, where now we can get a coarse-grained conversion value in tier 1 when we have a low number of installs while preserving privacy.
So how are coarse-grained CVs even useful?
That's a good question. So before SKAN 4.0, apps had to wait to get into tier 2 to receive any kind of information about their install. So now with coarse-grained CVs, apps can get some information about their installs much faster. So if you go back to the image, you can see that they can get this information in tier 1 much faster than waiting for their app to get into tier 2.
I see. So how about source IDs? How are source IDs different than campaign IDs?
This one is interesting as source IDs are also hierarchical in nature. So let's look at this image of source identifier. Like we've seen this image in WWDC. Let's just recap it. So the hierarchy of source IDs is represented as the last 2 digits, the last 3 digits, and the last 4 digits. So let's look at this image here, which is just an example. Advertisers and ad networks can encode these hierarchies however they want. The last 2 digits might be the same as the campaign ID in the previous versions. The last third digit could represent location, and the last fourth digit or the first digit represents placement, for example. But remember, again, it's up to the ad network or the advertiser to encode this however they want. And we think that mostly it would be ad networks who's gonna encode this value. Now, let's go back to the SKAN 4.0 image again, and let's see how and when we receive source IDs. So when the app is in tier 0, we receive only the 2 digits, the last 2 digits of the source ID. And the same thing with tier 1. We receive only the last 2 digits. But as the app goes into tier 2 and 3, that is when the number of installs increase, the app can now receive like source IDs. But as the app advances to tiers 2 and 3, the app can receive the last 2 digits or all the digits of the source ID, however it is defined by the ad network.
So you've gone over the different types of conversion values and sort of given us the distinguishing factors between source IDs and campaign IDs. Can you kind of cover the different postbacks that are available here that are shown in the table? What do these 3 postbacks really mean?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I've been talking about source IDs and 2 conversion values, but let's talk more about postbacks 2 and 3. So this is another big addition to SKAN 4.0. We can now receive 3 postbacks instead of 1, and these 3 postbacks are meant to measure different periods of time post-install. So if you look at that SKAN 4.0 image again, you can see that postback 2 ends at day 7 after install, and postback 3 ends at day 35 after install. And we can lock these 2 postbacks, and as soon as they're locked or that time window ends, Apple would send this postback with a 1 to 6 days of like random delay. Whereas postback 1 ends at day 2 after install, and we can receive postback 1 with a random delay of 1 to 2 days.
So what are the advantages of postback 2 and 3?
Apps should be able to measure re-engagement now.
And who is going to receive postbacks 2 and 3?
Only the developer and the winning ad network. Finally, Apple has added web to app attribution in SKAN 4.0. Let's look at the SKAN 4.0 image again, and I missed one detail. When the app is at tier 3, Apple will send you source app ID or the source domain, like if you're using web to app attribution.
How does Tenjin feel about the changes that are coming in SKAdNetwork 4.0?
I think we have mixed feelings about it. While SKAN 4.0 looks way more promising than SKAN 3.0 for advertisers, it is hard to tell if the industry can build a complete solution which accurately estimates ROI or ROAS that would increase SKAN's adoption. But looking at how SKAN has evolved over time, I think we're going towards a complete solution. And since preserving privacy is very important to us, I feel optimistic about it. Given the complexity of SKAN 4.0 features, I think we will play a pivotal role in conveying these features in the most appropriate way that helps our customers make the right decisions. Not just us, but all MMPs. So the role of MMPs is only getting more crucial.
What should Tenjin customers expect now in terms of SKAdNetwork 4 related features?
We're working towards bringing SKAN 4.0 features in our reporting suite. We've been communicating with our partners to synchronize implementation and launch. We will continue to support older versions, so backwards compatibility is going to be important when we launch SKAN 4.0. Web to app attribution is out of scope right now, but this is something that we've been brainstorming for some time. So more details on it, they're TBD. And I think our customers can expect something in the first quarter of 2023, but it's a loose estimate, so no promises there.
Sounds good knowing I'm on the software developer side. Could you dive a little deeper about what your SKAN solution is and maybe talk a little bit more about IDFA and SKAN?
So SKAN does not differentiate between opt-in and opt-out users. So we have always provided a separate reporting for SKAN in our dashboard with keeping transparency in mind.
By transparency, what does that exactly mean?
So by transparency, I mean providing very detailed reporting using many different metrics. We've always prioritized providing transparency to our customers by providing them as much information as possible for them to be able to take the most optimal decisions, right? We have different install metrics. We have reported installs. We have tracked installs. We have SKAN installs. We have installs from ad networks and so on. That's what I mean by transparency.
I see.
But sometimes this transparency can look like noise to some of our not so mature customers who are just looking for a more guided setup. Anyways, coming back to this topic, while today we offer a SKAN dashboard, we do see a need to offer a complete solution for iOS reporting in the near future that makes SKAN more readable in a sense and something that helps with correctly estimating ROI by keeping transparency in mind, but at the same time, presenting transparency as actionable information rather than confusion or noise. We also want to make the conversion value setup process more intuitive for our customers, as we've had many customers who still don't understand how to set conversion values and are looking to make this process more seamless between them and the ad networks.
Could you talk a bit more about how your partners are planning to adopt SKAN 4.0?
We've been communicating with some of the major partners regarding SKAN 4.0, and they're still in the planning phase, trying to get their ducks in a row. I think all of us are. But given our past experiences, we're expecting our partners to react differently to SKAN 4.0, and we'd have to build something different to accommodate like all the nuances, but we'll do our best to build something that is standardized for our customers.
When should we see the changes take full effect?
A good question. Let's try to answer this while examining the conditions that must be met to get a SKAN 4.0 postback. So the first one is the ad network needs to generate an ad signature for 4.0. The app needs to be built with iOS 16.1 SDK or later. And the advertised app is App Store signed and is running on a device with iOS 16.1 or later. I think conditions 2 and 3 most likely will get adopted first, and condition 1 will take the longest time. But full effect is a bit hard to define. Does it also mean that ad networks learn to use SKAN 4.0 data to optimize campaigns? If yes, then that could take up to a year or more. Again, given our past experience, it's a loose estimate. But given that we get more signal now, which also means more signal to optimize campaigns, I think ad networks have an incentive to roll this out sooner rather than later.
I see. So before we wrap up, do you have any sort of closing thoughts on what you think about SKAdNetwork 4.0, or maybe how you feel the industry is going to react to it, is adopting or reacting to it right now, etc.?
So personally, I am passionate about privacy way of advertising. I think SKAdNetwork could be the standardized way of doing ad attribution and reporting. But at the same time, we've seen that the market has not fully adopted to SKAN yet. So we still have a long way to go. But I am excited that the industry is taking privacy more seriously and building solutions towards a more privacy-safe way of advertising. So that's always very exciting to me. And And it just, doing something that helps our customers or doing something that helps people, right? We're preserving their privacy. That's always great. And I think excites a lot of us.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you so much, Jazz. Thank you for all your insight.
Thank you.